This is Dustin from Liquid Dynamics having the pleasure of interviewing Mad Man Pondo, a hardcore wrestling phenomenon, basically. Anytime hardcore wrestling comes to mind, it's either the backyard wrestling or it's JCW, and a name that's always synonymous with such a thing is Mad Man Pondo.
So glad you think this is a pleasure. As long as people keep thinking this is a pleasure, I'll keep on going.
It's definitely a pleasure for me because I have the utmost respect for anybody in the wrestling business, be it hardcore, be it in WWE, be it whatever. Anybody that's in the professional wrestling organization or even hardcore wrestling, whatever it be, you have to endure a lot of things to be able to do what you guys do. So I have the uttermost respect for you guys.
Well, just don't quit your day job and become a wrestler, whatever you do, trust me.
Okay, so how old were you when you started wrestling?
I was 20 years old. Um, I loved wrestling all through my childhood, and I finally got to a point where I was old enough, and I knew this teacher in Olney Central College, and he called me on the phone and said, "Hey, man, I got a professional wrestler that's in my school in one of my classes right now." And I asked him to get that guy's telephone number for me, and he did. I called the guy. I went to that college and I met with him. That was Terry Runyon, the sensational hillbilly, and I've been training I started training and. After a while, started wrestling, and I've been wrestling. My first match was June 24th, 1989. I've been wrestling 25 years. It'll be 26 years in June.
Very nice. So, with that much experience, you would definitely be considering a wrestling veteran.
To me, veterans are like Ric Flair, Terry Funk. I'm yes, I've been on JCW. Yes, I've been to Japan and Germany, Mexico, England, Australia, stuff like that. But I wouldn't. I would say that I have been in the business a long time, but to me, to be considered a veteran, you have to have a name, And
Right.
yeah, I have some sort of name, but on the scale of ABC famous, I'm probably down underneath the G's somewhere. So I don't know if you consider me a veteran or not, but I've been in there a while.
Right. And your outlook is quite great because I can agree. Names like Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan and all that, you can't think of professional wrestling without thinking of those two names.
Exactly.
And I've been a professional wrestling fan for as long as I can remember. I remember when I was a kid that I was watching Macho Man and Hogan feuding back and forth in their WCW feud, first one. And I mean, I'm only 24, so I can't say that I've been around to watch a lot of it, but I try to gain as much knowledge about wrestling as I can. That includes hardcore, backyard, whatever it may be.
When I was in high school, the Macho Man Randy Savage wrestled in my hometown out at the fairgrounds. He wrestled Ox Baker, and I was right there watching that. And plus, I would go to a company called ICW, ran by Macho Man's dad, Angelo Poffo. They would run Southern Illinois around Enfield, Carmi, Harrisburg, and stuff like that. And I would go town to town and watch Macho Man Randy Savage, Leaping Lanny Poffo. Uh, Cowboy Bob Orton would come in every once in a while. One Man Gang was Crusher Broomfield. They had, it was bloody, it was violent, and it was a good show back then.
Right. See, I enjoy speaking with people who have a love and respect for the business. Even though I'm not in the business, I absolutely respect it and love it because it's entertaining. It tells a story every time anybody's in the ring, and it's very enjoyable.
I agree with you, man. Uh, my my girl's been doing extra work for WWE, and you know when she goes, I pretty well ride with her, so she's got somebody to ride with. And we got a friend there who's been getting me free tickets and stuff. So I've been sitting in the crowds,
Right.
and I finally get to watch. I don't have to get my ass kicked and enjoy wrestling here for a bit. So I've been watching a little bit of Bray Wyatt. Uh, I enjoy him. Kane last night in Dayton, Ohio. Sin Cara and Cicero had a 15-minute fucking great match. Could have been a main event on any independent show anywhere. Um, Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, a whole bunch of them was there. And it was a pretty good show.
Okay. If I'm not mistaken, I've actually seen your your other half on Raw twice.
She's been on there 3 times. Well, she's been on there 4 times. 2 times she was Rosebuds. Um, the first time she was the Mrs. makeup artist,
I remember that.
and this time in Indianapolis, she was the concession manager of Kane and bitched him out.
That's what I thought. Because when I was watching that episode, I'm like, is that her? Because I'm almost certain that it is.
Right, that was her.
And congratulations, man, because she's
Oh,
she's a gorgeous woman.
thank you. Yeah, I am 45. She's 21. So how that goes.
Definitely. Now something that I've recently caught up, like there's a trend of it or whatever. Something that bugs the utter piss out of me when I see it is when a wrestler will accidentally mess up a move, and then you'll hear the audience yell, "You fucked up." How do you feel about that? Because honestly, me watching it at home, it bugs me.
Okay, well, I'm not only a wrestler. There was a company called IWA East Coast that I ran for 6 years, and it's still going, but I don't run it anymore. I run the locker room, but I don't run the company. But it is in my best interest as a promoter that once those fans walk through that door and pay their money, they can say what they want. I mean, they can't throw shit. They can't, you know, they're 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 not supposed to do things they're not supposed to. But as far as being able to have freedom of speech once they pay their money, as a promoter, I would say let them do it. As a wrestler, I'm pretty laid back, man. I mean, if they start yelling boring, I make it boring. I'll put a guy in a headlock and take him down and just hold him there. That's heat. People hate that, so they'll yell at you. Uh, if they start yelling "fuck," I fucked up. I'll point at myself. I fucked up. I fucked up. Nothing really bothers me. I'm so laid back. I'll handle any situation that comes along.
Oh, that's definitely good. It bugs me because I know, as a regular person, that I couldn't do even half of the stuff that a professional wrestler does. So it does annoy me when I start hearing "you fucked up" because it makes me think, well, they're the same. They couldn't do half of what a professional wrestler does, and yet they're
Right.
yelling this.
Well, it's those guys who can't do it, but keeps coming to yell things at wrestlers that they know nothing about that keeps us in a job. Without the fans' money, there would be no professional wrestling shows.
Right.
So yell on, do what you want to yell. I don't care.
All right. So let's get to the questions my friends have asked.
All right.
David Lopez asked, "Who inspired you to become a professional wrestler, and what age did you decide that that was for you?"
I would say it was my great grandparents. When I was real young, nobody in my family. I am totally different than all my family. My family is very reserved. They don't um, care to be center of attention. They don't talk loud, and I'm all in your face. I could go down the street and talk to anybody that I wanted to because I'm not shy. And but my family was always very reserved, except when my grandparents, great grandparents, would watch pro wrestling. So me and my brother, we would sit in there and watch pro wrestling with them, and of course, my grandma would be like, "You dirty motherfucker" and stuff like that. We've never heard that stuff, so that just made me and my brother laugh, and which made us fall in love with professional wrestling. My brother fell out of it, but I never did. Um, I would say my biggest inspiration to get into professional wrestling would be my great grandparents. But then it was always the crazy guys that impressed me the most. I'd go to St. Louis and watch Bruiser Brody. Loved that guy. I would go to Evansville and they had the Moondogs and the Sheep Herders, and there was blood all over the place. And like I told you before, I'd go to ICW and I saw Macho Man Randy Savage. It was just crazy. And then um, Chicago, we would go to Chicago and watch wrestling matches. And there was a company called Windy City, ran by Sam DeCiro, and they would have great independent but famous matches. They had Eddie Gilbert there. Um, they had Colonel De Beers and Sergeant Slaughter, but then they would always have uh, really good old. Like they had the Battle of the Bam Bams, Bam Bam Terry Gordy versus Bam Bam Bigelow for the Bam Bam name. Of course, there was no finish; they just fought to the back. But still, that was pretty impressive to me. They had Bruiser Brody versus John Nord. They had Abdul the Butcher versus Sergeant Slaughter. You know, just great, solid matches. I liked that better um, than going to the bigger companies because WWF at the time was running there. WCW was running there in Chicago. I was at the first Night of the Skywalkers that was in Chicago, Chi-Town Heat with the scaffold and all that. And I remember being a small kid looking up that scaffold like somebody's gonna die, you know. And now you watch it on video and you see that it's not as high as what you think it is, but still, you know, when you're a kid, you thought, oh my god, this is incredible. And I was at Super Clash 3 where Jerry the King Lawler took on Kerry Von Erich. You know, I did a lot of them, but it was always the crazy guys that impressed me more than anything.
Right. Okay. I completely understand that because the crazy guys will take risks that no one else will.
Right.
Right. Definitely, I respect that because I can agree with you. The crazy guys always capture the attention because they will do the insane things.
That's it.
Next question. Another one from David Lopez. Was there a wrestler that inspired him to perform his finishing move?
Um, finishing move is stop sign to the head. So, uh, they did some of it in ECW, but not a finishing move. And not really. I'll tell you, I was using a trash can lid there for a while, and I went to a wrestling show in Central City, Kentucky, and two small kids, I'm talking maybe 8 and 9, brought a trash can lid, and as I was walking through the arena, they said, "Hey, Pondo, check this out," and they started whacking each other in the head with it, and you know, they wasn't going down. So I was pinning adult-sized men with this trash can lid, and you know, what's it going to look like if two kids are hitting themselves in the head with it, but I can't, you know, I can knock a person out with one. So I still wanted to use that same shape of a weapon, but I had to figure out something that was harder to get but still made a good noise, and that's where the stop sign came in. There's one on every block. Go check
Yeah.
it out.
Question 3 from my good friend Roy. If you could fight any three names throughout the history of the business, who would those three be?
If I could fight them,
Yes.
number one would be Bruiser Brody because I believe if Bruiser Brody was still alive today, he would still be making money. He was that much of a showman, that much of an impression on me, and you have no idea how many times at St. Louis I'd be out in that parking lot and Bruiser Brody would walk past me. But I was just a small kid and I was afraid to hold out my hand and shake the guy's hand. Nobody would. Bruiser Brody never smiled. You could always tell he was always ready to go home, and you know he would go straight to that car.